Gopal was the former managing director of Aviva NDB before venturing into full-time consultancy work. He counts over 30 years of experience in sales, advertising, marketing, human resources, and strategic planning. He pioneered promoting management concepts in simple Sinhala through his book series Singhaling Business and has authored 15 books published here and overseas. He takes a keen interest in bringing in the Asian wisdom to the modern-day management practices, and in that he plays a leading role in introducing practices such as mindfulness to business executives. He is a past president of Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing and had served on the councils of universities of Kelaniya and Moratuwa, National Administrative Reforms Council, Presidential Task Force for English, and National Teacher Education Authority. During the last 3 years, he served as the Commissioner of the Sri Lanka Inventors Commission as well.
Hi, and welcome to Inward Bound for Mindful Living. I'm your host Shaveen Bandarnayaka. In this third session of ours, we are joined once again by Mr. Deepa Surarachi, who's going to take us on a journey through mindfulness. So, Mr. Surarachi, we ended our previous session, our second session, by looking at the various habits people have and how exactly our mind works. And one of the points that we actually ended off on was how we sort of push away things that we don't like and try to dwell on things that we want in our lives, and that we tend to think of everything other than the here and the now. I think we can start off from there, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because now what is interesting is, even if things don't make you happy, you don't want to let go of them, right? That's why we dwell on things which are even making us upset, making us unhappy, making us depressed. Now, one other point that we said one of those previous episodes is that mind sometimes is like a meeting without a chairperson or an agenda. So anything that pops up becomes your focal point. Now, another aspect of our mind is we tend to own whatever that comes to. Like, for example, let's say I'm angry, right? Now, you know that I'm angry, right? And I also know that I'm angry, and I know it's not a very comfortable situation, but still I don't want to let go of that, because constantly we have learned to own all our experiences, making it mine. So even this anger is mine. So if it is mine, I don't want to let go of it, right? And so this is, I think it's a habit, right? Everything we want to make it ours, right? And we want to control, right? We are kind of control freaks in that sense. It's very funny, right? Recall a moment where you are angry, right? And then you know it's not reasonable, right? A lot of people say, I got angry because it is unreasonable. Well, if it is reasonable, there's no reason to get angry, right? You will get angry only when things are unreasonable. But sometimes you realize, I got angry thinking that he is wrong, but it's not really that. Now, even after that, you think, how can I let go of it? And that's why somebody would not say sorry to somebody, say somebody very close to you, right? Maybe your spouse, and you have got angry, and you have said something, and now you know that I shouldn't have said that, right? Why is it difficult to say sorry? Because you feel, it affects my ego. Now, all these things, what's happening is because of this habit of grabbing onto things, as you rightly recall, by pushing away things that we don't like, we have gotten onto this habit of thinking that it's better somewhere else, right? And sometimes we go into the past and we dwell on these things. Now, it's not that we think, let me go into past and think, right? We
It happens automatically.
it happens automatically. If a memory pops you up something that is in the past, you pick it up. And there are some thoughts that are coming back over and over again. And then what happens is, because of this habit of owning and getting entangled with this, you go back there. And then sometimes thoughts pop up which are related to the future. So you fantasize about the future. Sometimes they make us very depressed, right? Sometimes, sometimes of course you think good. So then, okay, that's, I can say, you can do that. But even if things are making you depressed and unhappy, why are you dwelling on that? Because of this habit, right? So if you really look at, most of the time we are living through our habits, right? And as a result, that is why we are never here and now. For example, you think I am talking to you fully, but there is no guarantee that I am fully here. Right? While looking at you, while talking, I may be thinking something else in the back of my mind. Now, if I am like that, then what happens is, these relationships don't really become beautiful relationships, because there is something missing.
I saw, actually, quite rightly so, Mr. Suraj, I saw a recent picture of a restaurant. I'm not sure which country it is in, but on one of those chalkboards where they put the menu, it was written, we don't have Wi-Fi, keep your phones away, talk to each other. And I thought that actually summed up exactly what you are saying as well, because most of the time when we tend to go, myself included of course, we tend to think of a million different things at the same time, and ultimately what we are actually doing becomes just an obligation rather than putting your focus into it. So when you talk about here and now, what advantages does that give you, and how come when you do that, rather than thinking of all these other obligations that you have, how is it going to affect you positively in your life?
Before that, let me share a story, because you mentioned about experience in a restaurant. Once I had a Japanese friend visiting, and I took him to a restaurant, and then he was very happy with the food and everything, and the owner of the restaurant said, will you please write something in my visitor's book. And he just wrote 2 Japanese letters. I asked, what did you write? He said, Ichigo Ichie. And I asked, what does that mean? He said, Ichigo Ichie means one life, one meeting. Then I asked, where is it coming from? He said, those days when traveling was not this comfortable, you visit somebody far away and you sometimes don't know whether you might come back again. Right? And therefore, the host gives 100% total attention to the visitor, and the visitor gives 100% to the host, because this is one meeting, one life. Then I thought, how wonderful it is. And now 2 things happen. If you are so open to the other person, I will not only hear you, I will feel you. There's a difference between hearing and feeling, because then only I can really empathize with you. A lot of relationships fall apart because we cannot empathize. Why cannot I empathize? Because I am not sensitive to your emotions and feeling. Why? Because I am not fully with you. Right? We have 6 senses, Shaveen, right? The 5 senses and the mind. Now, all these senses are there for me to get connected with the world. So when I am not using them, how will I know? Right? So then you are always less. For example, that's why you have sometimes certain faculties impaired. Right? So if you are visually impaired, you are restricted by certain signals. Right? If you are listening impaired, you are listening. Now, we may have all those working properly, but the most important faculty, which is the mind, which you can sense, right? And that's why we are not human things, no, we are human beings, right? Because we are never, but we are not being here. We are always somewhere else, right? So now you asked what's the benefit of being here and now. Benefit is because you will know what's happening here. You know that you are being here, and bring it into the real world. Oh, anyway, there's no unreal world, right? There is only one world. The normal day-to-day living, and there's an enormous issue of not having focus, right? Not being able to give your full attention to anything you do. As a result, you are disengaged. When you are disengaged, you get tired very easily. You know, when you do something that you really enjoy, you don't feel the time pass by. Why? Because you are so engrossed. Now, there's a slight difference between being mindful and being engrossed.
I think on that note, Mr. Surashi, we'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.